In this session, we will learn how to write loop statements in Python. What are loops? Loops are logical statements that are used to repeat a block of code multiple times, making it easier to perform repetitive tasks. Python has two types of loops, for and while. To learn loops, we first create a new Python file and name it loops. First is for loop. The for loop is often used when you know the number of iterations ahead of time, or when you are iterating over a sequence, like a list, a string, or a range. It iterates over each element of the sequence, executing the code block for each item. Let's say we have 5 books in a bag and we want to read the title of each book. Then we take each book one by one and read the title before proceeding with the next book till all the book titles have been read. Let's see this with the help of an example. So we have for I in range 5 colon print I. This means that the variable I will be iterated once each for all the numbers between 0 and 4 to print the value of I. Here the range 5 generates numbers from 0 to 4, which is a total of 5 iterations. Let's run the script to see the results. As you can see, the values from 0 to 4 are printed. It stops at 4 because the for loop is completed when the maximum value specified in the range is reached. In this case, it's 4. Next, we have the while loop. The while loop runs as long as the specified condition is true. It's useful when the number of iterations is not known in advance, and you want to repeat something until a condition changes. This is the main difference between for and while loop. In for loop, the end of the condition is known in advance, whereas in while loop, we wait for the condition to change after a certain number of loops. Let's see the while loop with an example. We have count is 0, then while count less than 5 colon print count. Then count plus equals 1. Let's run this code to see the result. We see that it generates the values from 0 to 4. It stops at 4 because the condition count less than 5 becomes false when the value of count reaches 5 at the end of the last iteration. Here the loop will continue as long as the count is less than 5. The condition is evaluated before each iteration. So for example, in the first iteration, the value of count is 0. It prints 0, and then count becomes count plus 1, which is 1. In the next iteration, 1 is less than 5, which is true. So it prints count, which is 1. And then count becomes count plus 1, which is 1 plus 1, 2. Then it repeats for count 2, similarly count 3. And in the last iteration, when the value of count becomes 4, 4 is less than 5. So we print count, and then count becomes count plus 1, which is 4 plus 1, 5. And then while 5 less than 5, the condition becomes false and we exit the while loop. In this session, we learned how to write control statements using for and while loops. In the next session, we will learn about break, continue, and pass keywords. Thank you.